وسهلا يا شباب، اسمي ديفن وأنا طالبة في جامعة إنديانا وأنا في سنة خامسة في اللغة العربية. واو.
وأهلا وسهلا، أنا اسمي أبي، أنا طالبة في جامعة إنديانا أيضا في السنة الرابعة.
نعم، واليوم سنقابل مع دين فاينستين. يلا بينا.
All right, hello Shabab. Today we're here with our Dean, Dean Feinstein of Hamilton Lugar School of Global and International Studies. We just wanted to thank you for your time today and letting us interview you.
Thank you so much, Marhaba.
Marhaba. We're excited to get to know you a little more and see what you're up to next. So, on to the interview.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. We want to thank you for all that you've done at IU, and we hope to continue your commitment to focusing on building global connections and globally conscious students. The Arabic Flagship program is an important part of the HLS community and one of the 3 major flagship programs here. We would like to ask you a few questions about your time here at IU.
Really a pleasure to talk to all of my friends in the Arabic language flagship.
Talk to us about what you're doing next. Are you excited for this new adventure, and what do you think the future holds for you?
Oh, thanks so much. Well, I am really excited. We're kind of taking a step back to DC once we came, and I'll be running a big global advisory, which in many cases is an extension of what we've been doing here. We have people from 22 different countries, offices in 7 different countries, and we really cover the world. We've got a significant Middle East practice, a big practice that covers Europe and Eurasia, really every part of the world. And the people I'll be working with are, for the most part, really terrific and experienced diplomats and others who've lived and worked in the country, and of course, have language capacity in the places that they focus on.
Awesome.
For your next question, what is your fondest memory here at IU?
Wow, it's hard to limit it to one memory because there are so many different ways to think about my time here. I mean, first of all, of course, meeting with students and teaching students. I had monthly drop-in hours with students, and I'm just always so interested and excited to learn what they're interested in, what their priorities are. One of the things that's really distinctive about students at HLS is that they're a combination of people who show humility and ambition. When there's an opportunity, they want to take it and they want to learn more, and that is really fantastic. And of course, the combination of skills that our students have is so impressive, both understanding of place and language, but also cross-cutting issues that don't respect borders. This is exactly the kind of thing that people want, and it's what makes our students so appealing.
Yes, thank you.
So what is your favorite class you've taught here at HLS?
Well, I try to teach every year what is either our meat and potatoes or beans and rice class in international studies, which is called Diplomacy, Security, and Governance. And it's an opportunity for our students to learn first sort of the background, some of the theory about how states and peoples interact in the international system. But then we try to apply it to the different institutions that exist and how well or poorly they match up to their aspirations. And then at the end, we try to give students an opportunity to kind of apply these in different settings so they can kind of test out the propositions. But it's a really great introduction that, spans, kind of the whole range of issues from, development and trade to climate, to concerns about security, and of course, democracy and human rights. So it's a really good, deeper level, but still introductory level class that performs the role of giving our international studies students a real basis on the range of issues that they'll confront in their careers.
How can HLS Arabic Flagship students leverage their experiences in the Flagship in their future career endeavors?
Well, Arabic language flagship students at HLS are already doing that. They do it every day, and it's really students who drive the change and make the opportunities. It's so impressive. First of all, any student who is part of the flagship is achieving a high level of professional proficiency in the language, and that's really distinctive. It sets students apart right away. And usually the students combine it with some other kind of course of study. It could be international studies, it could be human rights and development, it could be democracy issues, it could be security, it could be cybersecurity and global policy, it could be something completely different, like another region. And it's just tremendously impressive for people looking to hire people, because what sets our students apart is that they have a real sense of place. There are lots of schools you can go to get the important background about, thematic issues, but there are very few places where you can combine that with the language skills and the deep knowledge of different parts of the world. That is what's really missing, and that's what I think our students, and particularly the students in the flagship programs and the Arabic language flagship programs, really do. It's the gap that they fill uniquely.
So what advice would you give language students like flagship students who aspire to have long careers in foreign service or government?
Well, first, keep doing what you're doing. Washington careers or careers in global stuff, really like careers in general, rely on a couple of important skills, one of which our students have in abundance, which is humility. Because when you try to learn about a new culture and a language, it's hard work. And you know how hard it is to master it. It also gives you an indication of how hard it is to learn and master and become expert in other cultures, languages, and societies. That gives you a really important perspective, which is often in really short supply. The other thing is, I think we have an ethos in our school of respect for one another. We celebrate differences. We listen to one another. And I would say that we are all about change. We all want to make the world better, and it needs a lot of improvement. But what I would say that's really distinctive about our students is that the path to making real change, lasting change, sustainable change, is not through division, but by unity. Building unity for change, which is super frustrating. And that doesn't mean watering down what you believe in. It means working harder to find common ground. And that is something that I feel our students really do and really believe in. And I think a lot of that they get also from the two guys for whom the school is named, Congressman Hamilton and the late Senator Richard Lugar, who in their careers really bridged all kinds of divides, not just divides between Democrats and Republicans, but divides across cultures to make really important and lasting change. When I look at the world now and I look at some of the conflicts we're facing in the Middle East, in Europe, and elsewhere, I think about, as hard and difficult as the situations are now, how much better off we are for the diplomatic efforts and achievements that both of those guys made. Think about Congressman Hamilton and his work on the 9/11 Commission to develop really sensible approaches to dealing with problems of extremism, ones that didn't target people, but ones that try to understand what the nature of the problems are and to unite Americans around a sensible approach. And I think about Senator Lugar, who helped after the end of the Cold War, which seems like a long time ago, but which is back in the news, to help ensure that the demise of the Soviet Union didn't become the world's largest nuclear spreader event. And just imagine how much worse the very tough situation the world faces now would be if nuclear weapons had spread throughout the states of the Soviet space. So as hard and challenging as the situation we face now is, just think how much worse and more perilous and dangerous it would have been without his efforts now, 20 plus years ago.
What legacy do you hope to have left here at HLS?
Oh, that's such a nice and thoughtful question. I mean, I would put it in two categories. I think we've accomplished a lot in 8 years, which is a relatively short period of time. That things that you can measure. I mean, I remember when I got here, first of all, this beautiful building didn't exist. My phone actually rang in the motor pool at IU. There were no deans, there was no stationery, there was no staff. So I think we've just done a lot in a short amount of time. We've doubled in size in the terms of numbers of students. We're the 4th or 5th largest international affairs school in the country, which is incredible. And our students are making tremendous and nationally recognized progress. We were tied for number 2 for Bourne Awards, prestigious Bourne Awards. We have the most language flagships in the country. And of course, we were able to add the Arabic language flagship during the course of the last 8 years. And we are also the number 1 school in the country in the number of regional institutes that have been labeled by the Department of Education as national resource centers, and we take that really seriously. And, just this past year, we were able, because of our language prowess, particularly in Dari and Pashto, but also Tajik, to support the resettlement of Afghan evacuees at Camp Atterbury. And we did that at the request of the U.S. government, and because of the tremendous skill of our faculty and their willingness really on very short notice to help our Afghan friends. And of course, our students rallied as well, and all sorts of volunteer activities. And that's just kind of an example of what we do at this school and why it's important. But really, the most important thing, I think, is the culture. We have a culture of respect, and we have a culture of appreciation. I can't think of anyone more appreciative of the school than Professor Al-Ramadan, who is the beating heart of the Hamilton Lugar School. She's brought together our language faculty. It's very unusual. Usually language faculties stick to their regions, and Professor Al-Ramadan has built a community which the language faculty love. And I feel that the language faculty really feel fully part of the school, and of course they are. And we've built bridges between and among our faculty. Faculty who are used to just dealing with thematic issues are suddenly finding home with our faculty members in the area studies units, Middle Eastern languages and cultures, but also Central Eurasian studies and also East Asian languages and cultures. And this is just exciting and very promising. And, IU did this at a time when most universities were going in the other direction. They were closing language programs. They were reducing their emphasis on what we call area studies. And instead, we went in the other direction, and it is really paying off.